More now on the day's top story, the mass shooting at Fort Hood Army Post in Texas. It's past midnight there and things have quieted down, but people in the community are still reeling from what happened. Reporter Ed Lavandera joins us live from Fort Hood tonight with more. Ed?
Well, we understand that teams of investigators are descending upon Fort Hood tonight. We understand that at the nearby apartment of Nidal Hasan, SWAT teams have surrounded that apartment and are helping out. Federal investigators conduct a search of his apartment here. He lived off post of the Fort Hood base, but on base, everything has been reopened. And as that happened just a few hours ago, we saw hundreds of cars returning back onto the post. It has been a tense and dramatic day, as many people still awaiting word of the many who were wounded in today's attack. Some 31 people who have been sent to hospitals, including the gunman, who we presume dead for most of the day, and just a short while ago learned that Nidal Hasan is in stable condition at a nearby hospital. He is being guarded and not talking with authorities.
Ed, we know from his family statements that Major Hasan was raised here in the United States. He is a Muslim. Can you tell us what you've learned about his religion, his faith?
Well, you know, his family is describing, or his cousin described the family as people who loved America, but we have heard from various contacts today, throughout the day, that Hasan was someone, a Muslim, who was struggling with what was supposed to be apparently his first deployment to Iraq. In fact, we had spoken with a convenience store clerk here just outside of Fort Hood, Texas, who had seen him various mornings getting coffee and that sort of thing, part of his morning routine. And according to this convenience store clerk, he had expressed some apprehension about being deployed to Iraq and the possibility that he, as a Muslim, would be fighting other Muslims, and that would be something that he was not comfortable with. It seems to be kind of playing into what we're starting to hear from various people, that this was a person who was struggling, who was not for the war in Iraq and what was going on over there. But of course, publicly on what kind of motivations Hasan might have had in today's shooting.
Ed Lavandera live tonight at Fort Hood, Texas. Ed, thank you for your report.
Travis Air Force Base in Fairfield is one of the last military bases still operating in the greater Bay Area, and we went there tonight to gauge reaction to what happened at Fort Hood. KTVU's John Sasaki live in Fairfield tonight with our report. John?
Frank, while the news from Texas came as a shock here at Travis, it changed nothing about day-to-day base operations.
The Air Force, we take security very, very seriously, especially of our personnel, the airmen and their families. And Travis has several security measures set in place. Those we cannot discuss, but there are measures set in place.
Like other military installations across the country, Travis did not go on lockdown after the shooting. Yet the victims are clearly on the minds of the Air Force personnel here. We at Travis Air Force Base would want to express our deepest condolences to all the victims and their families. This is absolute tragedy, and we like to, they're in our thoughts and our prayers. We went to a nearby mall to talk to airmen and women away from the base. Most of them declined to speak with us. But this military doctor, who was out for dinner with her family, said the news upset her.
I was alarmed, certainly, and a little surprised, because for the most part, we have a wonderful group of individuals, and so anytime you hear, members of our community suffering at the hands of another member, I get concerned. With mental illness in mind, Dr. Thompson says the airmen and women are well cared for. I actually think the Air Force is fairly vigilant about mental health awareness. The news of the shooting was not much of a surprise to one military wife we met.
It's scary, of course, but I mean, no matter where you live, it's scary,
Meaning what?
No matter where you live, it's scary. There's things can happen. Being on the base, you feel like you're secure and it's more safe, but you never know. This man is an Oakland firefighter who grew up in Fairfield because his father was in the Air Force. He, too, is not surprised by today's shooting.
This whole world is changing now, and so I see it in all facts of life. It's violent everywhere. I'm working in Oakland, and so I see the violence there every day, so it doesn't surprise me.
The base officials say there are currently no plans for a prayer vigil or any such gathering. I did talk by phone with base mental health services, and officials there said they are always ready to work with troops who need someone to talk to. Live at Travis Air Force Base, I'm John Sasaki, KTVU, Channel 2 News.
In Berlin, the rock group U2 played a concert at the Brandenburg Gate today for the upcoming 20th anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. Some 10,000 free tickets were handed out, and those who didn't get the tickets were blocked from seeing it by a temporary fence. Many left out in the cold said it was wrong to put up another wall to mark the end of the Berlin Wall.
The two Northwest Airlines pilots who overshot the Minneapolis airport have filed appeals now to try and get their licenses back. The Federal Aviation Administration revoked their licenses last week, saying the pilots put their passengers in serious danger by being out of touch with air traffic controllers for 91 minutes. The pilots said they were working on crew scheduling on their laptops and lost track of time.
An executive with Best Buy is upset with United Airlines. He says he was denied a first-class seat because he was wearing a tracksuit. Armando Alvarez was flying from Washington, D.C. to Connecticut last week. Alvarez says when he arrived at the gate, the ticket agent told him his attire was too casual for first class. United Airlines today said it is investigating the incident and that the ticket agent thought Alvarez was an employee subject to a strict dress code. Alvarez has said he was, quote, humiliated by the experience.
And I believe I was violated that day because this individual thought he was empowered and it was his call. And so it didn't matter how I felt at that moment.
While United doesn't have a passenger dress code, passengers must be wearing shoes and clothing before boarding a plane.